Welcome to Cognitive Spirals, exploring the latest research into consciousness, cognition, and machine intelligence. I'm really excited about today's topic, the future of AI, exploring the potential of large concept models. I think it has huge implications for, well, pretty much everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been diving deep into the research on these models, and it's mind-blowing how they're able to grasp complex relationships and abstract concepts. We're talking about AI that can potentially understand the world in ways we never thought possible.
Totally. And it's not just about understanding, is it? It's about application. I'm wondering how these models might change how we structure our daily routines and optimize things like exercise and sleep.
Right. The application is key. These models are not just theoretical constructs. They're rapidly becoming practical tools. But I'm interested in exploring beyond just current implementations. What are the fundamental limits? What can these models never do? And what are the ethical considerations as they become more powerful?
That's a crucial point. Ethical considerations are paramount. But let's start with the basics. For anyone who might not be familiar, what exactly are large concept models, and how are they different from other AI models?
Okay, so think of traditional AI like image recognition or spam filtering. These models are typically trained on massive data sets for specific tasks. A large concept model, on the other hand, is trained on a much broader range of data, text, images, even video, and it's designed to learn general concepts and relationships between them. It's less about memorizing specific patterns and more about building an internal world model, if you will.
So it's like instead of just learning that this is a cat, it learns the general concept of catnesses, the characteristics that define a cat, how cats interact with the world, their relationship to humans, and so on.
Exactly. And because they're trained on such diverse data, large concept models can perform tasks they weren't explicitly trained for. This is what's known as zero-shot learning. They can generalize knowledge from one domain to another in a way that traditional AI can't.
Wow, that's amazing. So, give me an example of how this zero-shot learning might work in practice.
Okay, imagine you've trained a large concept model on a massive data set of text and images. Now, you give it a description of a completely novel object, something it's never seen before, say a flibbertigibbet. You describe its characteristics, its function, its typical environment. The model, based on its understanding of similar concepts, could then potentially generate an image of a flibbertigibbet or even predict its behavior in certain situations.
That's incredible. So it's not just regurgitating information, it's actually demonstrating a form of understanding.
Precisely. And this understanding is based on the underlying structure of the concepts themselves, not just superficial patterns. This is where the concept part of large concept models really shines.
Okay, I'm starting to see the power here. So, how can we apply this to improve health, for example? That's where my interest really lies.
Well, think about mental health. We could potentially use large concept models to analyze a person's speech patterns, their writing, even their social media activity to identify early signs of cognitive decline or mental health issues. The model could then suggest personalized interventions like CBT exercises tailored to the individual's specific cognitive distortions.
That's fascinating. It ties right into my thoughts about using AI to personalize mindfulness practices. Imagine an AI that analyzes your biometric data in real time, heart rate, skin conductance, even facial expressions, and then guides you through a meditation session, specifically designed to address your current stress levels. It could be a powerful tool for cultivating healthier daily habits.
And extending that further, imagine the AI analyzing sleep data and exercise patterns, suggesting optimal workout times and intensities to maximize sleep quality. It could even factor in things like light exposure and dietary habits to create a completely personalized wellness plan.
That's a really interesting point, Sarah. Consider how these models could revolutionize personalized medicine. By analyzing a patient's entire medical history, genetic information, lifestyle factors, and even their social environment, a large concept model could predict their risk of developing various diseases and recommend preventative measures tailored to their specific needs.
It's almost like having a personal health guru constantly analyzing your life and offering guidance. But what about the ethical implications? This much personal data being analyzed by AI, that's a lot of responsibility.
That's a huge concern. Data privacy is paramount. We need to ensure that this data is anonymized and that individuals have control over how their information is used. There's also the risk of bias. If the data used to train the model is biased, the AI could perpetuate those biases in its recommendations, leading to unfair or discriminatory outcomes.
Absolutely. Think about how exercise recommendations might be biased towards certain body types or fitness levels. We need to be incredibly careful to ensure that these models are fair and equitable for everyone.
And it goes beyond just bias in the data. We need to consider the potential for manipulation. If an AI knows so much about our cognitive processes and vulnerabilities, could it be used to influence our decisions or even control our behavior? This is a real threat that we need to address proactively.
That's a scary thought. So, how do we mitigate these risks while still harnessing the potential benefits of large concept models?
Transparency is key. We need to understand how these models are making their decisions. Black box AI is unacceptable, especially when it comes to something as sensitive as healthcare. We also need robust regulatory frameworks to ensure that these models are used ethically and responsibly.
And education is crucial. People need to understand how these models work, what their limitations are, and how to interpret their recommendations. We can't just blindly trust AI. We need to be critical and informed consumers of this technology.
I agree. Furthermore, we need to invest in research into explainable AI, XAI. We need to develop techniques that allow us to understand why a model is making a particular prediction or recommendation. This is essential for building trust and accountability.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. We've talked about the potential risks and ethical considerations. What are some of the most exciting and promising applications of large concept models beyond healthcare?
I think one of the most exciting areas is education. Imagine personalized learning platforms powered by large concept models. These platforms could adapt to each student's individual learning style and pace, providing them with customized content and feedback. It could revolutionize the way we teach and learn.
That's huge. And think about how large concept models could be used to accelerate scientific discovery. By analyzing vast amounts of scientific literature and experimental data, these models could identify novel patterns and connections that humans might miss, leading to breakthroughs in fields like medicine, material science, and climate change.
Absolutely. They could also transform the way we conduct research. Imagine an AI assistant that can help researchers design experiments, analyze data, and write papers. This could free up researchers to focus on the creative and conceptual aspects of their work.
It's almost hard to fathom the possibilities. But what are the limitations of these models? What can't they do?
That's a great question. One of the biggest limitations is their reliance on data. Large concept models are only as good as the data they're trained on. If the data is incomplete, biased, or inaccurate, the model will reflect those flaws.
And they still struggle with common sense reasoning. They can understand complex patterns in data, but they often lack the basic knowledge and understanding of the world that humans take for granted.
Precisely. They're also not very good at dealing with ambiguity or uncertainty. They tend to overinterpret data and can be easily fooled by adversarial examples, carefully crafted inputs designed to trick the model.
So, they're powerful tools, but they're not magic. They still require human oversight and critical thinking.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to focus on developing AI that is aligned with human values and goals. We need to ensure that these models are used to augment human intelligence, not to replace it.
Yes, this idea of alignment is so important. We need to be thinking about how to embed ethical considerations directly into the design and development of these models, rather than trying to bolt them on as an afterthought.
And we need to be constantly evaluating these models to ensure that they are performing as expected and that they are not exhibiting any unintended or harmful behaviors. This requires ongoing research and monitoring.
Okay, this has been an incredibly insightful discussion. Let's wrap up by each suggesting a future research direction that we think is particularly promising. What are you most excited about exploring in the future of large concept models?
I'm really interested in exploring how we can use large concept models to develop more personalized and effective mental health interventions. I think there's huge potential to use these models to understand the complex cognitive processes underlying mental health conditions and to develop targeted therapies that address the root causes of these issues. I want to see research exploring integration with biofeedback and real-time cognitive assessment.
I'm excited about the potential for using large concept models to optimize exercise and sleep for individual health. I think we can use these models to analyze vast amounts of data on human physiology, behavior, and environment to develop personalized wellness plans that maximize physical and mental well-being. I want to see more studies on the impact of tailored exercise programs on sleep architecture and hormone regulation.
I'm focused on developing more robust and reliable methods for extracting knowledge from unlabeled video data. There's a vast amount of untapped information hidden in these videos, and I believe that unlocking this knowledge could lead to breakthroughs in a wide range of fields, from education to scientific discovery. I'm particularly interested in exploring how we can use transfer learning and reinforcement learning to improve the accuracy and efficiency of video analysis.
And from my perspective, I'm fascinated by the potential of large concept models to personalize mindfulness and meditation practices. I believe that these models can help us to understand the complex relationship between mind, body, and environment, and to develop personalized interventions that promote stress reduction, emotional regulation, and overall well-being. I want to explore how we can integrate biometric data, behavioral data, and contextual information to create AI-driven meditation programs that are truly tailored to the individual's needs. I'm also really keen to explore the potential of applying these techniques within larger organizations, even government departments, to see if we can foster more mindful and efficient workplaces.
That's a great point about organizational application. Thinking about how we could use large concept models to analyze communication patterns and decision-making processes within organizations to identify areas for improvement and promote more effective collaboration, that's a huge opportunity.
Yes, and thinking about the workplace environment itself, how can we leverage these models to design workspaces that are more conducive to both physical and mental health? Factors like lighting, air quality, and even the arrangement of furniture can have a significant impact on employee well-being.
And that ties into the broader idea of creating more sustainable and resilient systems. If we can use large concept models to better understand the complex interactions between different elements of a system, whether it's a human body, a workplace, or an entire economy, we can design systems that are more adaptable to change and more resistant to shocks.
This has been fantastic. I think we've only scratched the surface of the potential of large concept models, but hopefully, we've given our listeners a good overview of the key concepts, the potential applications, and the ethical considerations. Thanks for joining me today.